522 on News Talk 710 KURV. Roxanne Flores, Zach Cantu, and Davis Franken. The headline says that Trump cut legal immigration by up to 65%, which is why we have our next guest, Pallavi, an immigration attorney on 710 KURV.
Why don't you slow down?
Pallavi Aluwalia. Am I saying that right?
Words.
Yes, it's Pallavi Aluwalia. You got it.
There you go. Pallavi Aluwalia. I make sure I pronounced it correctly. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Now tell us more about this story.
All right, so there are a couple of things on two sides. One was an announcement, no less, a proclamation by the president last Friday, and it just said now starting out from the beginning of November, the government is going to see that everybody that's entering the country has health insurance, and if they don't have health insurance, then they will be assessed to see if they should be given a green card or not while coming in. So this is going to apply to a lot of people who are sponsoring their family members. Now, most people who are abroad right now have no contacts here with the U.S. to buy health insurance, right? So, I mean, they have to come in, they have to, either find employers that are going to be covering them or come and buy private insurance here, right? But to require that will now cut out a large number of applicants. Not only applicants, they're going to be people from poorer countries that come in, but they're parents of U.S. citizens or their siblings and all of those. And so the point being that the poorer of the lot are going to get affected and they will not be able to come in. So that's one part of it. The second part of it is the legal immigration that as we follow and what we do, and that's what my firm practices in Dallas. So we do the high-skilled professionals, the doctors and the engineers and all those kind of workers. Now, even though the administration says we just don't like the illegals, and we appreciate all the people that do the legal stuff, that is very far from the truth. We are facing an uphill battle on a daily basis for the most bona fide of cases to get them approved. And our trouble here is that the cutting down is happening because he had announced an executive order, which was in the beginning of the presidency. And now he has people like Stephen Miller, who are the architects of removing legal immigrants from the country. So it's insidious ways, but it's going on. The target is not just the people who don't follow the law. It is also the people who contribute to this economy by paying really high taxes. They're probably the 5% of the top people that pay taxes. They earn hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they are being sent back. So without much regard to the economy or other motivations of business owners who want them or companies who can support them and want them for the growth of the company, they are being sent out. So that's what the story is about.
Yeah, this is Davis Rankin. What I don't understand about this is I thought immigration laws and rules were set by Congress. I've never understood how the president, since starting with Mr. Obama that I'm aware of, where the president of the United States is issuing laws. He's telling you can do this, you can do that. Can you explain what's going on?
So the president does have executive authority to implement a lot of the laws. So, and in doing so, has some what we call as prosecutorial discretion. But what we're seeing right now, I wouldn't call it. So immigration law does fall under the executive's authority, but it is still needs legislation, not just rulemaking on the fly by proclamations posted on websites and said, okay, now this is the law. Hey, behold, we are in a dictatorship right now. So, literally, we're just, every day we just kind of, our mouth falls open every day when we read stuff saying, oh, really now? So, but for anyone that does care for the rule of law, then this should, if everyone was appalled by the fact that there was being too much kindness that was being shown to the immigrants by the previous administration, they should definitely be appalled.
Well, I wouldn't say too much kindness, Pallavi. He was known as a deporter-in-chief.
You're talking about Obama.
Yeah.
Right. So he was, what he was, at that time, what President Obama was saying was, just don't throw out kids who came in that were little when they came in,
Yeah.
and let's not throw out parents who had U.S. citizens born here in the country. So if you had contact, that was DAPA, D-A-P-A,
And then
and
DACA.
DACA was for the kids, right? So that was what he got really, but he enforced the law while he was here. So there were people, and they had a list going previously, which was, okay, if you're a criminal on the highest side, you're out. Okay, you're not going to be here in the country for sure. Okay. However, if you were, on that part of being a kid who was brought in by his parents or her parents when you were little, or if you were somebody that had made so many ties that you had U.S. citizen spouse and you had kids that were born here, then maybe you wanted to be at the bottom of that list to be deported, right? Not that you were going to be given legal status. They were not given legal status. The announcements that got enjoined, and it came from the Valley also, like from, I think, the lawsuit, one of them
Judge Haney.
was in Brownsville. And at that point, those lawsuits said, well, he's creating law as we speak and he can't do that. All he was saying is he was creating a list here saying criminals out first. Next, let's get out, go by that line. People who had been deported several times, never went back, they need to be out too, right? But okay, let's be a little kind to the kids and the parents, right? And those are the ones that have had families here.
But if it's not a law, and if it's just like you mentioned a list, then why is it so controversial, and why are there judges going back and forth? I'm talking about DACA and DAPA. Like, if it wasn't really a law, why is it such a big...
Because at that time they wanted to halt executive power and saying, oh, he's lawmaking, but he was not giving them legal status. So that's what was
You're talking about Mr. Obama.
Yeah.
It was deferred adjudication, meaning we're deferring your deportation, but while you're here, you can legally work, bloody pay your taxes, right? That's all it was saying. But that amounted to some kind of an affront at this point, but nobody's pointing out the fact that by proclamations, we are kind of faltering a lot of people who are legally entering the country or are legally maintaining status. We have the story of a family who has, I think one of them works as a physician in the D.C. area, and another one works for some part of the government, and they had gone out to India for their stamping, and they got denied, and their passports got returned, and they are sitting waiting for the government to come back and tell them that they can appear for the interview. They have homes here. They have high school students that were born in this country that are so they're just kind of waiting to go back to their home as they know it, which is D.C. And the point is what this whole ploy is, if you kind of wait out people long enough, then there will be a point where the employer is saying, I don't want to have you back anymore because I can't wait for this protracted period of time. So I don't want you back, right? And so what's going to happen with that? They're going to lose jobs. If they lose jobs, they lose sponsorship, and then they're out of the country.
This is what I don't understand. What I don't understand is where does implementation of the law stop, and discretion and abuse of that discretion begin? Because my belief, for what it's worth, is that Obama abused his discretion and Mr. Trump is on steroids. Now, I happen to agree with a lot of the stuff he's doing, but I'm also kind of finicky about the rule of law and doing things open and so they can be understood. And like this guy who just got denied you were talking about, there was a couple down here, a professional couple, musicians, Mexicans, and they got denied. Well, one of them got denied. They were going to be deported. They'd done everything right. I'm bastardizing the story. They did everything right. They were model citizens. They were educated people, and boom, they're going to have to. Well, they got fixed, but.
So it's what's going on is that there's a huge amount of discretion that's available to the executive branch, which has been told right now to deny immigrants. So, and I think I was startled when the mission statement of USCIS changed from being a nation of immigrants to saying, okay, we're going to take care of the needs of the United States, and they kind of folded this into a different statement. And I kind of felt bad at that point, saying, no, we want to give a salute to the fact that we are a nation of immigrants. We don't want to forget that, right? When we are doing our adjudications and we are doing our reviews of the cases that are filed, we should remember that. That's just a salute to where we come from, right? And now when they've changed that, and now it's them versus us, them meaning the immigrants
Yeah.
versus us meaning U.S. citizens, then there is going to be trouble. But whether it kind of supports a rhetoric that's out there, it supports a thought process that, immigrants right now are not such a huge part, the ones that we're kind of talking about, the legal immigrants, not such a huge part. But if you're going to allow only 100 and, I'd like to say, for each category, 140,000 a year to come in, a total maybe 1 million that's coming in, and you're going to start enforcing the law in a way that's going to cause harm to the families that live here, that have contributed to this country, then you're just kind of creating these systems that are going to be knocked over next time there's another election. I'm sorry, it's not going to stand up.
We've got to. I'd love to continue, but we cannot.
Mrs. Ahluwalia, thank you so much for
thank
always
you.
joining us. We really appreciate that. It's Pallavi, an immigration attorney in the Dallas area, our guest on 710 KURV.